because it's also vertical. I had to press it twice.
Now it's live. Now we're live. Hello, everyone, and welcome to a new episode of the Cradle News Roundup, your one-stop shop for all news West Asia, coming to you live. My name is Esteban Carrillo. I am the news editor for the Cradle, and as usual, I'm joined by my friends and colleagues, content creator and writer for the Cradle, Karim Shami, and content creator and social media manager for the Cradle, Sima Itaim. And as usual, before we start, just a friendly reminder to hit that like button, to subscribe, to check out our memberships here on the YouTube channel, and above all, check out our Patreon, where you can become a direct supporter of the Cradle. And in the description of this video, you will also find a link to our store, the Cradle store, where you can get some very cool merch, including some very limited Christmas time only drops that are very, very cool. We've gone over them over the past several weeks, so go check them out. Many things, as usual, right, on the news today, but really the biggest item so far, in particular as it pertains to the region of West Asia, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu a few hours ago announced the approval of the largest export agreement in Israel's history with Egypt. Now, this is a natural gas deal worth about $34.7 billion. It's a deal that Israel has been seeking for a while now, for some time now. And finally, the Egyptian government has given its approval. And there's other news in regards to this, in regards to Arab states and others coming to Israel's rescue, as the thumbnail of this video says. But let's start with Egypt and the gas deal. What's behind it, and what do we make of it, guys?
Okay, so this gas deal, of course, it's not the first one between the two countries, but it's the biggest one. As you said, Esteban, it's the deal is around $35 billion, and the revenue will be collected by Israel from the time the deal is signed, which is this year or the beginning of the next year till 2040. And also, the title say also, why is Egypt signing a massive deal now? Of course, if you're watching the Cradle and you're reading the news on this region, we know that, of course, whatever is happening currently in the region is all for Israel's benefit. And I think this deal happened because Netanyahu was asked to go to the White House by Trump, and we saw many leaks that Trump was very pissed from Netanyahu. I think this deal comes to calm down the tensions between Netanyahu and.
If you believe the tensions, Karim, because since October 2023, there's been dozens of reports of these so-called tensions.
Yeah, 100%. But there's a Gaza deal. We have phase one, which is we are stuck in now, and there's phase two that the United States is pushing for. Part of the things that are stuck is the economic agreements in the region, plus which country will send its troops to Gaza to maintain the security of the region. And currently, everything is halted because, as we discussed before, what happened is that Trump came out of ideas that are unable to be achieved on the ground, and he wants to push them. So I think this deal comes not only to benefit Israel and Egypt. I think, of course, the Egyptians said that they will buy cheaper gas from Israel, which I doubt. But also, this also pushes what Netanyahu said around 10 days ago, when he said that now we're gonna approach an economic zone with Lebanon, and also now, yes.
Good point. I was just saying, good point.
Oh, okay. So I think this is part of what's happening, and we all know the Abraham Accords, and we know that around 1 month ago, Kazakhstan joined the Abraham Accords, and South American countries are making like an alliance to protect Israel economically,
giving up their water, giving up everything.
Yeah, 100%. So we in Lebanon, especially if the government and the people that are supporting our current government and the people that are against Hezbollah, this also will put them somehow in the corner. And many people will say, okay, Egypt is the biggest Arab country. They signed the biggest deal with Israel. Why not us? This also what happened also like corners Lebanon, because we all know that there's a deal that was achieved around 3 years ago, or 4 years years ago. Sorry, the time passed very fast
Very
between
fast.
Lebanon and Israel, and they determined their EEZ, their economic zones, and we share also a gas field with Israel. So this will push will push such agreements, knowing that part of the deal includes Chevron, which is an American company that will drill and extract the gas and also will ship the gas through pipes to Egypt. And this also might be the same company that will also drill in Lebanon, because of course Lebanon, we don't have allies and we don't have the technology. So there's a company that should come, and many people thought that the French will come, but we saw what happened in Lebanon the past five years. Lebanon was like the foreign policy of Lebanon somehow was determined partially by France, but now everything is determined by the United States. And we know also, I don't want to go bigger in the picture because it will be somehow complicated, but also there is two big projects in the region regarding gas. One is between Greece, Israel, Cyprus, and Egypt, and they want Lebanon and Syria to be part of it. And there's another project which is led by Turkey. That's why also Turkey and Syria now are pushing to determine their EEZ, their economic zones. And afterwards, we will see. There's two projects in the region. Currently, the Israeli project and the American project is achieving more in the region, and there is also the Turkish project. That's why part of what's happening in the news or between the closed doors, that always we see that Israel is not pleased with what Turkey is doing, not because it's like an existential threat to Israel, but there's project and there's gas and oil in the region, and these countries are trying to pull each for themselves.
Very good. I think very good rundown, Karim. Let me just say a couple of things before I let Sima go on. One, I see
Oh no,
people
I
asking
just wanted
why.
to say.
Hold on,
Yeah,
let me
exactly.
just. A couple
That's
of
the
people
same
are
thing I was
asking
gonna say.
why there's two streams, one of them horizontal, one of them vertical. This is what the platform we use offers, and it's really well for the convenience of the viewers, right? Like if you're
Yeah,
watching
yeah,
on our phone, maybe it's easier
No,
to
but
watch it
wait, guys,
vertical.
there's two separate videos. Is that normal?
Yes, it's
Like
normal.
yeah,
there's
It's
yeah.
normal. It's two
Oh,
separate
so it's like
streams. It's two
oh
separate
wow, okay.
streams. So just to let you know, this is what the platform that we use. Well, the way it does it, it does the streaming. So in any case, just go and hit like on both streams. You'll make us very
Yeah.
happy. And
So
you
one is
pick
for the
which
phone, maybe.
one is
Yeah,
vertical,
one
one's
is the phone hand. I
horizontal.
will see
Yeah.
regarding the feedback. If they didn't like it, we can remove the other one in the future. But maybe people will like it. And before
I
you
think,
continue,
yeah.
yes,
No, no, go ahead. Go ahead. Finish, finish.
I just want also to share this image to let people understand more what happened and what will happen in the future and what happened in the past between Lebanon and Israel. So this is now a full screen. So regarding the deal that happened, we have here something called Leviathan. Yes, Sima?
Yeah, the
Yep.
Leviathan field,
Leviathan.
that's where the gas will
So
be coming from, and it's one of the largest offshore reserves in the Eastern Mediterranean. So
100%. So this is the main gas field that the deal is all about. Israel will extract gas from this field, Leviathan, and it will be transferred through pipes into mainland Israel and then exported via pipelines to Egypt. But also, if you look, we see that Egypt, they have a lot of gas. Uh, Although Egypt, they have blackouts from time to time, just like Lebanon. Now it's better, but previously at the beginning of the year they had major blackouts, and of course the government is saying that okay, this is will benefit Israel. It's nothing about politics. It's pure economy and energy. That's what they are saying, and of course the dotted lines are the exclusive economic zones of each country, and we see here the yellow triangle. This yellow triangle, this was
Gaza.
the economic zone of Gaza. But after 7th of October, nobody knows if Israel or any other country will agree about this, because if we look, we see that it's also a gas field inside or off the shores of Gaza, which called maritime Gaza. There's A and B. Still, we don't know the future of this one. And the previous thing that I was talking about, if we look at the north, between on the border, on the north, we see Lebanon, and we see also a line that cuts a gas field called Kana. So now Israel already shares with Lebanon this gas field. And of course, after what's happening in Lebanon, many are saying, but we don't have enough information that
Yeah.
also Israel is drilling and extracting gas from Kana. And
Yeah.
many people in Lebanon, they say that when Lebanon starts to drill, they will not find anything because Israel will extract
It's
everything. And yeah,
it's the I drink your milkshake, right? I drink
yeah,
your
well,
milkshake.
yeah.
Exactly. Karim, I just
Unfortunately,
wanna
yes.
highlight something of what you said in the report that we published. Where are we, by the way? There we are. In the report that we published at the Cradle, it said that the Egyptian government hadn't commented yet, but they did, as Karim mentioned, and they said in particular, because I just want to expand on what you said, they described the deal as purely commercial with no political dimensions, and then added that the agreement was struck by private energy companies under market rules and without government involvement. In other words, nothing to see here. Absolutely nothing to see
Yeah.
here, right? Sima,
Yeah,
why don't you give us your thoughts?
and of course, Sima will say it better than me. But of course, uh, uh, if we ignore everything, we can't ignore that this comes even after Israel killed hundreds of thousands in the region, in Gaza and in West Bank and in Lebanon and Syria
Iran.
and Iran and Iraq and Yemen, and it's continuing to. So I don't think there's any reason for the Egyptians to say that, and they didn't even delay it, or they didn't do anything. And the funny thing or the irony is that in the Israeli media, if you read the Israeli media, both the people that are with Netanyahu and against Netanyahu both agreed that this deal was ready before, but Netanyahu and Israel didn't approve it. So that delay didn't come even from Egypt, and Egypt didn't try to even like postpone this deal. The party that postponed this deal is Israel, which is ironic for me. And as I said, I think Netanyahu, because if you hear what he said, I know he said it in Hebrew, but the translation that I acquired, it implies that he wanted a big deal before going to Trump to say to Trump, okay, look, I am the man of peace. I will not bomb Lebanon. I am the man of peace. Look, I made a very good deal with Egypt, because we know that also Trump loves Sisi, which is the president of Egypt, and he said it more than once. He said that the president of Egypt, Sisi, is my favorite dictator in the world.
Fun
Wait, but
times.
you
Go
said that
ahead.
he'll go to Trump and tell him I won't bomb Lebanon. He is bombing Lebanon like every day.
Yeah, according to Trump and according to the Lebanese government, he's not bombing Lebanon. He's bombing the Hezbollah terrorists. We have also to see how the narrative is now in Lebanon and in Washington and in Tel Aviv, because also yesterday uh, the foreign minister of Israel, I will get the quote. Just give me 10 seconds. He said, the foreign ministry of Israel said yesterday, quote, um, Israel desire is to normalize relations with Lebanon, and my country does not see its attacks as violating Lebanese sovereignty. And
I know they see it that way, but
yeah,
I'm
and the
just.
Lebanese government,
Uh,
many people in the Lebanese government, including our foreign minister, the Lebanese foreign minister, who refused to go to Iran and refused to shake hand with the foreign minister of Iran, and denied he denied the visitation, not visitation, what's called
The
Sima?
visit, the visit,
The visit to go
the
to Iran,
invitation, yeah.
the
the
invitation to
invitation.
go to
Yeah.
Iran, and many people in our parliament, they said Israel has the right to defend itself because Hezbollah started the war on Israel. So that's the narrative that's the Lebanese government or part of the Lebanese government and Washington and Tel Aviv talks about. For them, they are not bombing Lebanon. For them, they are helping Lebanon, and for many parties in Lebanon, including the Lebanese party
The Lebanese forces, you mean?
Forces Party and the Kataib Party, Israel is an ally who's helping Lebanon to get rid of the terrorists.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with the certain parts. I mean, I don't want to go into Lebanon now, but I don't have that much to say about Egypt. I think you guys said it well. I mean, for Lebanon, I feel like it's just that, the government, even if the government is almost like very like leaning towards being Zionist at this point, the Lebanese government, they're still not very happy with the situation because they know that there are obstacles now. Like Hezbollah will not cooperate if it stays like this. So they also need Israel to stop. It's not like they're happy with, I mean, anyway. So for Egypt, I just think that this is about turning like energy into leverage and domination in the region, because people tend to forget that domination, Israel's domination in the region, does not stop at military occupation or tanks advancing or airstrikes. It's more to do with energy, weapons deals, water, all of that. Because for Netanyahu now, like he's framing it as proof that Israel is the regional energy powerhouse, which is what Israel wants.
We're getting
And
some feedback on Sima's microphone. I don't know if maybe if we mute Karim's mic, or if you get a bit closer, Sima, to try to avoid that. Sorry to cut you off.
Yeah, let me know if this is better.
Not so much.
Been trying.
Oh, now it's good. It's Karim's mic,
precautions to
unfortunately, that
avoid
is
this.
picking your voice. Yes.
It's Karim's mic. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was saying this is about turning, all of this into leverage, to have more leverage over countries like Egypt and Jordan. And U.S. officials, of course, praised the deal, for creating interdependence, as they called it. But this is, again, beyond occupying land militarily. Like, as far as I'm concerned, like Israel occupies Jordan and Egypt without having to physically occupy. And it's through these kinds of deals, because they're locking their neighboring states into this long-term dependence, basically, through gas, through energy, infrastructure, and, power. So Gaza is under siege, and the aid is still not being let in, and Palestinians are denied any control over their own resources. I mean, this is stolen gas, right? Like, let's not forget. I mean, it may not be the main point of this discussion, but it's an important one. And so all the while Egypt signing this deal, Israel's exporting gas and using these deals to deepen its influence.
And what deals?
This is just occupation by other means. That's the point I wanted to make, really, without having boots on the ground.
It's Sima, I think the thumbnail of this video says it all. It's not just Egypt that is really helping Israel in this way. There's reports, just let me mention very quickly, there's apparently some reports that Egypt has begun a partial reduction of its army and police forces in the Sinai Peninsula, also at the request of Israel. If it's proven to be true, if it's and the Egyptian government replies, I'm sure they're going to say this is not a political decision either. Nothing to see here, as is often the case. Actually, before we move on to the next country, I just want to mention something. I direct people to our Instagram, where the social media team, led by the brilliant Sima Itayim here, did a carousel yesterday about the statements from Professor Xiang that we discussed in the podcast. And I think it's very, very good to go and check it out. Also, of course, leave it a like and share it and all of that. And it's about exactly what we're witnessing, right? Of Israel being treated more as a strategic node for infrastructure than it is as a nation state in particular. And I think the Egypt deal is a great example of this, of what it represents. But as we said, it's not really just Egypt, right? Like today, Intelligence Online revealed that it is the United Arab Emirates who are behind the largest ever contract that Israel's Elbit Systems signed last month. So on the one hand, you have the Egyptian government in a non-political decision approving Israel's largest ever gas deal. And a month ago, you have the Emirates, you have Abu Dhabi approving Elbit Systems' largest ever arms deal. Right. So the UAE also coming to the rescue. We've talked here a lot about Israel's economic woes and, the cost of the genocide. And we have a report also very important that you go check it out at the Cradle, that is about the manpower crisis that the Israeli army chief has been talking, has been warning the political echelon of a manpower crisis. Suicides are spiking, resignations are also spiking. And at the same time, we talk about the collapse of Israel. You have these Arab states, in this particular case, coming to the rescue. I don't know if you guys have any thoughts about the Elbit Systems deal and the revelation that it was the UAE.
Yeah, I mean, this was very mysterious.
Karim, you need to shut off your microphone.
Yeah,
because
Karim, you need to turn off your mic whenever I speak, because it's really bad. this is basically like this was a deal that in the Israeli media was like shrouded in secrecy and mystery. And so now that's why everyone's talking about it. So just a couple more details. So again, this is like the largest, basically, deal in Elbit's history and Israel's history, and announced a month ago. At the time, it was only described as a strategic solution for an international customer, with the system itself being kept under strict non-disclosure at the UAE's request. Probably something again to do with the timing. Now it's all right. Gaza's drowning and it's blockaded, but then now is a better timing to announce it apparently, because they were requesting this because they were even concerned that leaks could reportedly cancel the deal. But anyway, this. Again, Israel's assault on the region hasn't stopped. And this is, again, just to, put it into perspective, it's channeling massive Emirati funds directly into Israeli arms production. So it's like underwriting Israel's killing machine at this point. The funny part is Israeli outlet Calcalist warned that the system is so advanced it could even erode Israel's own military edge, which I found very funny. Which they claim was part of why the deal remained under publication bans. But, Emirati-Israeli military ties expanding. It's been a linear thing since the Abraham Accords, The Israeli firms have opened offices in Abu Dhabi. There have been reportedly air defense systems sold, and Emirati conglomerates have bought stakes in Israeli tech companies. So its money is helping sustain Israel's, violence across the region on so many levels, in Palestine and beyond. And this is just like the next stage, like the latest manifestation of that. And it's a pretty big deal. But I mean, again, this is like the existing architecture that there's no shame in again, like you were saying, and to do with the carousel you were talking about. It's nothing to do with morals or ideology, or it's just to do with locking into what's already there, making sure that everything runs smoothly, moving on to the next stage. So this is where we are right now with this deal.
I think yes. Karim, do you have any thoughts, or shall I move on to the last of these shameful deals that we are reporting on over the past day?
No, that I want to say that
you're very loud, Karim. Sorry.
That's okay. That's expected, and every time I say it, sometimes Sharmeen or sometimes whatever the guest is or part of the of our stream, they say no. Every country has its own policy, and they work for sovereignty, and Saudi Arabia has its own agenda, and Qatar. No, it's very clear. All the countries are there, and the presidents are there, and the kings are there because they are willing to serve Israel, and that's what happened in Egypt says a lot, and what happened in UAE says a lot. And here on the cradle, during the peak of the war, we have many articles that talks about how Egypt became the re-export hub for Israel. Israel was importing through Egypt, and then they re-export through their ports to Haifa port, and how Saudi Arabia opened its borders thousands of kilometers for the Israelis to bypass the Yemeni or Ansarullah blockade to the Red Sea, and they used Dubai, and then they shipped via land to Israel, and of course Jordan. So the only country that's not like this currently, because there is people who are refusing to be like this, is Lebanon. And all what's happening tells me that Lebanon is in a very, very huge risk. Mm-hmm. And I am afraid what will happen to Lebanon, because according to Tom Barak, who's like the Sultan of the region now, who now like dictates what Turkey, Lebanon, and Syria should do, and they are all doing what he says without pushing back. Although he humiliated the entire ancestry of Arabs and Muslims, And also now he's going to Iraq and he's fulfilling what Iraq should do. Everybody is doing whatever the Americans want and the Israelis want, except part of the people that have dignity in Lebanon. And I think, unfortunately, because there's still people in Lebanon that have dignity, they will suffer a lot. That's my opinion. Hopefully, nothing will happen. But what Barack is saying and what the American is saying, and we know that Trump also said it 2 days ago. He said many countries are willing to come and annihilate or like to destroy Hezbollah, but till now, I told them now. So we'll see what will happen.
Uh, the
And
very
of course, Egypt, UAE, Saudi Arabia, Jordan, thank you all for like destroying destroying the idea. Okay.
I'm sure Thomas Barak will agree this was a very animalistic opinion, Karim.
Yeah.
But in one way or another, given history, given the decades of history of what we have witnessed, you kind of expect this from the Arab states, right? Like, I mean, Karim, this is your thesis essentially. Every time you're here on the show, you're like, the Gulf Arab states do this, and they will do this. But there's a country that took up the flag of opposition to genocide, that took Israel to the International Criminal Court, to the International Court of Justice for genocide. That was at the center of this controversy of Israelis sending Palestinians from Gaza on undeclared flights, on flights with no declared destination, and then landing in South Africa, right? It's been South Africa. But over the past couple of days, and this is according to shipping data that was reviewed by Reuters, it has been South Africa that came into the rescue of Israel after Colombia cut its coal imports. Now, according to the numbers, to the reports, South Africa's coal exports to Israel rose by 87% in the 3 months to November on an annual basis, providing some 55% of Israel's seaborne coal imports. I mean, honestly, a founding member of the BRICS too, by the way, South Africa. Its industries, good old BRICS, its industries fulfilling the need of the genocide state. I'm sure it's not a political decision either. No, I'm sure Pretoria is going to put out a statement, like Cairo said. It's not a political decision, and of course, we all have thoughts about this. I have thoughts about this, and I feel like yesterday, because yesterday we heard rumblings, right? A lot of rumors that Donald Trump was going to announce war on Venezuela, like officially declare war on Venezuela. It ended up not happening. And Maduro, the president of Venezuela, just a few hours before, he gave a speech in which he openly called for Colombia, in this case, to join forces. He said the Colombian armed forces and the Venezuelan armed forces need to unite, right? And he called back to the Gran Colombia and to the Latin America's past to unite against the invader. And I think, this also, it kind of shows us where we are at right now, all of this news, and the fact that if Donald Trump were to declare a war on Venezuela, it's going to fall on Venezuelans to defend their country. The same thing for Colombians. Because, and this is, my perspective, you guys might disagree with it, the people in the chat might disagree with me, but I think the genocide in Gaza has left it very, very clear, has made it very, very clear that as long as there is not something to gain for any of these countries, they're not going to lift a finger to stop it. Mm-hmm. So now, again, South Africa, the country that takes Israel to the ICJ, is the one that is filling the gap left in coal, the gap left by Colombia, a country that is now being threatened directly with war by the U.S. government, and which, again, I really don't foresee the BRICS or anyone, from the multipolar order lifting a finger to stop this. Because as long as they can find a way, to maneuver through this, and as long as they don't have to betray their own political decisions, right, their own laws, their own constitutions.
Esteban, you are frozen.
I'm frozen?
Whoa.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I don't see myself frozen, but in any case, I just wanted to say that you guys can tell me what you think.
The audio is like distorting. I don't know.
He's frozen.
Can people in the chat tell us if the stream is working or not? In any case, can you hear me?
No. There's something wrong, Lahza.
Yeah, everyone's voice is
It's
distorted.
fine. People are saying it's fine in the chat. Maybe it's just for us.
Oh, wow, it's really bad. Like I can't even hear you guys. Okay,
Yeah.
if
Hey,
it's
check the
fine.
chat. Check the chat, guys.
Oh, now it's working.
Little
Now it's
tech.
It's just
working.
such a it's a funny contradiction. The um the South Africa situation. I mean, I'm not shocked. I never expected anything from South Africa.
But but
I haven't considered South Africa
but again,
anti-Zionist
also,
ever. So
I always say it. Why should we blame any other country if the Arab states are acting like this?
it's not
يعني,
about that. It's about the fact that they took the case to the they took the case to the
yeah,
ICJ.
and
It's the
thank them
contradiction.
for this, and that's it. It is a
Yeah,
contradiction,
I
but
know,
it's
but we can't always use the Arab states thing to just not talk about anyone else. Like, let's not open our mouths about China or South Africa or anybody else because it's
no,
the Arabs first.
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
eh,
exactly. Yeah, for me, for instance, because South Africa, they don't like pay billions and billions of dollars, and they don't produce like movies and celebrities and say that they are the ones that are like coming to save humanity, and
that's
they
fine, but they're supplying
they care
over
for
half
human
of
rights.
they're
Yeah,
supplying over half of Israel's coal imports now. So they're
yeah.
directly powering them. So it's crazy a bit.
There's Egypt now that can power all of Israel. No, no problem.
But it's not, it's not just about powering all of Israel, right? Like getting one source. This is about like diversifying in turning Israel into a logistics hub for energy, for transport. Let's not get lost in this, right? And
Yeah, yeah.
maybe go ahead, go ahead.
Yeah, they want to create this new like hub or country that everybody needs. If you're on the border with Israel, or if you're not on the border with Israel, and that's not only the case. They also made like Intel made many factories in Israel, and they produce chips, and these chips are not included in terms what are other tariffs, the things that he comes out with every now and then. Yeah, for instance, Intel new chips can be shipped for to China, but for instance, Intel chips that are produced with the same technology in Israel can be shipped for China. So they are making Israel not only a regional hub for energy, but also for technology, and also many companies based in Israel that like. How can I say it? They make distilled water. They distill the water like sea water and whatever, and they are selling this technology to Africa. So they are making Israel a very important country, and of course, most of the money of the research is coming from the United States.
Um, I just wanted to, before we move on to, I think we have so many topics,
There are
but I
really.
just wanted to do like a very quick snapshot of Palestine. A recent development in the northern occupied West Bank is that Israel announced that it will demolish 25 residential buildings in the Nur Shams refugee camp, which is in Tulkarem. And we've recently had reports that already nearly 50% of the infrastructure in the camp has been demolished, and the residents have been displaced. A few days ago, they were protesting to come back. They have essentially destroyed and cleansed these camps. And the residents are, determined to return in one way or another. But the death toll is mounting in the West Bank, and there are so many developments that we need to get into. But for now, also just to switch over to Gaza, literally, it's at least 795,000 displaced Palestinians at least are facing severe flooding as the temperatures are dropping, and water is pouring into their tents, and their tents are breaking, and all critical supplies that are ready and waiting at the border are not being let in by Israel until this moment. Today, another Palestinian infant has died in Gaza after exposure to the extreme cold, according to the health ministry. This infant was 1 month old, and this infant was the fourth child in just over a week to die due to these conditions. At least 18 people have died due to the recent weather systems and what's been going on in Gaza. And according to Gaza's civil defense, more than 17 residential buildings have completely collapsed. Over 90 residential buildings have suffered serious partial collapse. 90% of shelters across Gaza have been completely flooded due to heavy rains and floods. All displacement tents have been damaged and flooded, leaving thousands of families without any shelter. This means the destruction of and loss of clothing, bedding, blankets. Crews have received over 5,000 distress calls from residents since the onset of this weather. And the impacts have resulted in, as I mentioned, at least 18 people, including 4 children. So the civil defense is essentially saying now tents have proven to be a complete failure in Gaza, which is probably exactly why they've given them nothing but tents, to be honest with you. And they are demanding that the authorities and international institutions refrain entirely from supplying tents and instead, provide safe housing, even if that means mobile homes or whatever the case, and launching, reconstruction efforts that preserves, at the very least, their human dignity. And of course, Israel is tying this all to, Hamas disarming and the second phase, essentially. I mean, it's complete blockade, complete disaster. If you see the videos coming out of the Strip, very difficult situation. Everyone tries to help in whichever way they can, but you still feel helpless. Like, even if you're donating to all the right initiatives and you're raising awareness, you still feel so helpless in the face of what has happened. And you see Israelis mocking them, celebrating that Gaza is being flooded, that Gaza is drowning in the media. There have been several examples of this recently. Just again, another, demonstration of what a deranged society we're dealing with here.
And Karim, I think you can remove the video because it ended. You have Donald Trump, right? Again, claiming that he put an end to the wars in the Middle East, as they like to call it, in West Asia. In particular, the genocide in Gaza. Netanyahu. He's set to go to the White House next week, right? I'm sure it's like to discuss Lebanon. I feel like, unfortunately, Simon, it's great that you give this roundup of the situation in Gaza, but it does feel like this is the status quo now, right? Like there's where is the pressure going to come to change things? Where is the pressure going to come from to allow aid into Gaza? I mean, yes, Axios has again published a report saying, oh, Donald Trump is just so mad at Netanyahu. He's just so mad, you guys, that he violated the ceasefire, assassinating the Hamas commander over the weekend in Gaza City.
Apparently was a red line. The White House told Netanyahu that this was one of the few high-ranking Qassam Brigade's commanders, Ra'id Saad, was assassinated, and the White House was apparently mad about it. And,
I'm sure they were fuming. I'm sure they were fuming. And we're
supposed to believe. Wasn't there something about Trump like saying such bad things about Netanyahu that the press can't even recall them, or something like that? It's one of those Biden moments over again. I think it's become just like a ritual on the Cradle's news roundup to laugh about the Axios reports.
The Axios, the monthly, if not weekly reports.
Bi-weekly.
I keep asking Grok, give me a list of all of these reports, and he comes up with different numbers. A couple of weeks ago, he gave me 50. Today, he gave me 30. There's dozens of these reports, guys, of since the start of the genocide. Joe Biden and Donald Trump being very angry at Netanyahu, and yes, I'm sure it's true. Just like it's true that we're gonna see a BRICS coalition. Defend humanity. Yes, for sure, no doubt about that one. But I mean, the situation in the West Bank and in Gaza really catastrophic, right? And as people in the comments are saying very clearly, it's the Israelis that are blocking all of this. It's a decision. It's a political decision to block absolutely everything, even medicine. I saw an account of I think it was a New Zealand or Australian doctor who tried to go into Gaza, and the Israeli soldiers expressly told them no life-saving medicine. You can't bring anything. They block the entry of pencils and erasers for children to go back to school, to have some semblance of normality. No food, no medicine, no shelters, no clothes, nothing. And everything's just there waiting. Meanwhile, Egypt signs the biggest ever gas deal for Israel in the name of Israel. South Africa, it sends them all the coal that they may need, and everything just goes as planned.
Yeah. And another thing that's happening while all this is happening, which I mean, we don't have time to get into, but it's good to raise awareness about this. But literally, what is being referred to as one of the biggest hunger strike in the UK, right? Since the Irish Republican hunger strike of 1981, they're saying it
Yes.
started on November 2, and it's at least 8 actionists with Palestine Action who are being held in British prisons for acting against Elbit systems, essentially, if I'm not mistaken. And there have been at least 5 hospitalizations, and the government has not even met with the prisoners' families. So this is basically like people are afraid of that these hunger strikers might die, and that this could be basically considered like a state-sanctioned killing almost. But a 20-year-old, Kessar Zahra, I think is her name, she was hospitalized yesterday after protesters gathered outside where she was being held to demand that she receive urgent attention. And she was on the day 46 of her hunger strike. So yeah, this is something to keep an eye on, because the way the UK is going about this is just insane as well. Absolutely insane.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like 1984 is being used as a guide, right? Not as a warning. That's the actual guide for where we're standing right now. Karim, I don't know if you have any thoughts about any of this. Is your mic on? Sorry about the technical issues today, everyone here. We're still working out the
We're
new
still
platform.
figuring
Yeah.
it out.
So, no,
You're
I
so
think
loud.
Sima said it. Yeah, although both the settings for the mics are the same. They
That's
are
weird. That's
exactly the
very
same.
weird. Maybe some the hidden hand behind the scenes.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, that's the current situation. And as Sima said, and we saw the video. The video of the flooding is insane. And these people didn't have like 1 week when they rest to rest. And the moment the war or the bombings got lesson and lesson, because they didn't stop. Unfortunately, now they have floods. And same thing applies in also in Lebanon. People are not talking about it, but still all the villages that are on the border are still all destroyed. And if you think to go to see your house, they will bomb you on the road before even reaching your house.
My God, my God. There's another very interesting news item that we published today. I'm trying to pull it up right now. Again, about Arabs or Arab groups being just desperate to make good with Israel, and this time from Yemen. In Yemen, we have reports that the UAE backed Southern Transitional Council has reached out to the Israeli army, or well, to Tel Aviv, and pledged to recognize Israel in the event that its goal of an independent secessionist state in South Yemen is achieved, essentially telling them, hey, we have the same enemies. Why don't we fight them together, right? In this case, the Yemeni armed forces led by Ansar Allah in Yemen. The STC has been gaining a lot of ground in Yemen over the past several weeks. We have also seen reports of Saudi forces withdrawing from Aden, not one or Aden, I'm not sure actually how you pronounce it, not just over the past few days, but like it's been weeks too that we've heard that there's movements by the Saudi-backed forces to withdraw from certain strategic positions. And now you have the STC, which is gaining all of this ground, asking Israel to join forces against a common enemy. Karim, or resident Yemen expert, what do you have to say, or what do you know about all of this?
Hala, this is not the first time this happens. And if you can go, we can go back to 2 years and 3 years before, and even 5 years before. Many people that are with the STC or aligned with the UAE in Yemen, or the people that are fighting Ansar Allah, even before that in October, as I mentioned, there's many incidents where they sat with the Israelis, and there's many conferences that they went to or they were invited to, and deliberately they were sitting next to Israelis, and they have no problem with Israel. Currently, the only, unfortunately, people that have problem with Israel are in Lebanon and in and parts of Yemen and parts of Iraq. So as I said it before, the UAE has many good relations with the Israelis and even UAE. They told these people that we will give you the UAE passport and we will make for you a new postal codes and area numbers if you join us. And they want to separate South Yemen of North Yemen, and this will weaken Ansarullah and Yemen as they did in Syria. After 14 years, 15 years of fighting, and many people died suddenly in 2 3 days. Assad disappeared, and Sharia, who's the head of Al Qaeda and Nusra or whatever you call it, now leads Syria and can go and travel wherever he wants, and even Saudi Arabia paid the debt of Syria and blah blah blah. So there's a clear vision for this region. Whatever Israel wants, we will fight and we will pay money and we will make propaganda to provide Israel of what it needs, regardless if it's Netanyahu or not Netanyahu. And that's what's happening in Yemen. And we know following the 2001 incident in the United States, many people came and said that there will be new Middle East, and even Condoleezza Rice, who was the foreign minister of the United States back then, she said there will be a new Middle East, the maps will change. And also, we know this is, I forgot his name. There's a general who was very famous. He said that following
The Wesley Clark. Wesley Clark.
yeah, Clark, he said that we will come to Iraq, Lebanon, Yemen, blah, 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 and Sudan. And they, unfortunately, they succeeded in everything. Sudan, they took 1 million kilometers squared from Sudan. Now there's Sudan or South Sudan. Syria, God knows how many countries it will be. Libya is now 3 countries. It was 4 countries. Now it's 3 countries. Yemen now is separated to 2 countries. And if this continues, it will be separated with 3 countries. A country that is against Ansarullah, but with somehow Saudi Arabia. And they have like the Ikhwan Muslimin background. A country that wants to have its own country in Yemen called South Yemen. South Yemen, it's aligned with the UAE and Ansarullah. That are now sharing this similar fate or similar vision of Al-Assad. They have the capital, they have the ministry, they have the army. But if this continues like this for 10 years, I don't think they can make it unless they have to initiate something. Because what happened is that the Syrian army was advancing to Idlib, where Al-Sharia now is, and they were able to take Idlib. But in 2017, many regional powers, maybe including Iran, I don't have information, but I think Iran accepted this, and Turkey and Russia, they told him, stop it. And that's what happened. And also, we saw what happened in Lebanon during following 7 October. Hezbollah, I am convinced 100% they were capable and they had the equipment and the manpower and the weapons, but many pressures told them, no, not now, don't bomb a lot, bomb slowly. And we saw what happened. And also in Iraq, many people assumed that Al-Hashd, what's called in English?
The PMU.
The PMU will take over and blah, 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 and they will kick the Americans. Then in one word, they stopped everything. They are very afraid from the Americans. I don't even consider them resistance because they are not doing anything for the occupier. And so on and so on. My only hope in this region is that Yemen and the Ansarullah should learn from the mistakes of Hezbollah and the mistakes of Syria and mistakes of Iraq, for them not to share the same fate. Although currently they are the strongest in Yemen, but after 5 or 10 years, we don't know, because we saw that these countries and these projects, the West and the Israelis and the Gulf players, they are willing to wait tens of years for it to be accomplished.
He did a whole regional overview.
Yeah, very good, honestly, Karim, very good rundown. But I have a question for you guys, though, because I mean, I agree.
Sorry, I just want to add, because many people they got lost. Oh, what's happening in Shabwa in Yemen? What's happening in this current city in Yemen? It's not like that. These people are not moving because they want to move. They are not moving because this is their fate is there. No, they are moving because UAE told them that, and because Israel told UAE that, and because people in Washington made this assessment and like convinced Israel this is better for Israel. So Israel will tell UAE will tell its people, and people will move on the ground because it's very, very obvious now. All the actions in the regions are coming from the Israeli or allied Israeli sides. The people that are with the resistance and against what's happening till now, they have zero actions.
My 2 cents on the STC thing is that this isn't new, but Israel's public broadcaster is framing it as if it's new that the STC reached out to Israel. But I mean, this is like unfolding against like the backdrop of constant UAE Israeli coordination. So I think that the STC has coordinated with Israel from before, but the Israeli media is making it seem like it's a new
Yeah,
thing.
yeah. There's many pictures and
That's
videos of conferences.
yeah. I
Both
mean,
are sitting together. Yani.
it's all about timing, and there's a lot of psychological
Of
warfare
framing,
involved with
of
the,
media
and
framing,
framing and
yeah,
time. And
narrative.
yeah, I mean, it's not the first time that the STC works. The STC has been coordinating with Israel for a while. That's all I
But
have to say about that right now.
here's where it gets complicated because I agree with what you position, Karim. And like history kind of gives you the reason here. But in the latest national security document that the White House published, that essentially dictates U.S. foreign policy for the presidential period of Donald Trump, they talk about prioritizing the Western Hemisphere, right? About shifting resources. We had a report at the Cradle based on a Washington Post report a few days ago that talked about the Pentagon moving to consolidate its command structure to, first of all, in the Western Hemisphere, consolidate the Northern Command and the Southern Command, Northcom and Southcom, into something new, into a new organization called AMERICOM, America Command, right? To oversee Donald Trump's new strategy to take over the Western Hemisphere. And I'll continue with that in a second. At the same time, they want to consolidate, reportedly, CENTCOM, which oversees West Asia, AfricaCom, which of course is, as its name says, the African continent. I don't remember what the one for Europe is, and the other one that is also like to the Eastern Pacific and all of that, into a single entity called International Command. So apparently Pete Hegseth wants to get rid of a whole lot of a whole bunch of 4-star generals, like reduce the size of these organizations that the U.S. has spread across the world to oversee hundreds upon hundreds of military bases. And in particular, they talk about making West Asia or leaving the control of West Asia in the periphery, right? Like they talk about the international com is going to oversee everything, and West Asia in particular is going to be kind of left in the periphery. I imagine this is because they have this goal that has been working for them, that they have been able to achieve, all of its steps to kind of establish Israeli hegemony with the help of the Gulf Arab states. And that's what we're seeing in Lebanon with the pressure to disarm Hezbollah and the threats of war, and even government ministers, as you guys said yourself, acting in a way that is not, diplomatically accepted, being very confrontational. What we see in Iraq, what Karim just described, what we're seeing in Yemen as well, what happened to Syria, etc. Right? Because according to everything we've heard and seen, now Donald Trump, what he really wants for Christmas is Venezuela's oil. Right? This is the priority at this point. So, is it even possible for the United States to leave Israel in the periphery? Because in my view, what's happening in Venezuela, it's not really an expansion of the Monroe Doctrine, as has been described by many people. To me, it really is an adaptation of Timber Sycamore, of the most expensive CIA regime change operation in history, as directed now by Marco Rubio, to establish a blockade in Venezuela and to use this new far-right wave of governments and to kind of fuel, right? Like first of all, the strangulation of the Venezuelan economy and of its people, and at the same time as launchpads for attacks, right? Maybe hit and run attacks. Maybe they will arm paramilitaries like they did with ISIS and Al Qaeda. There's a lot of mercenaries in South America that will be willing to take a paycheck to go, fight the Venezuelan army in the name of the United States. But then that begs the question, right? Because if this is the goal, in my view, it's because they need the oil to go and fight the war for Iran against Iran, right? Because Iran continues to be the target of the Zionist entity. They're not going to be quiet. They're not even after. They're not going to feel safe, right? They need to go for Iran. But I feel like Trump needs to
100%.
secure these resources first. Um, Again, and sorry, I extended myself a bit because I wanted to ask you guys: is it even possible for the U.S. to leave Israel in the periphery? And are they hoping that the regime change in Venezuela is going to take like a couple of months, maybe, and before they go after Iran?
I don't know, but something that's kind of indirectly related is this new finance model that Israel's been discussing, according to Israel's Channel 14, where Netanyahu is discreetly preparing for a future in which Israel no longer has to be dependent on U.S. military aid. I mean,
Ah,
yeah, I mean, it's Channel 14. I don't know, but this officials close to Netanyahu claim that these discussions are underway now ahead of his expected meeting with Trump. That's focused on a gradual separation from American assistance once the current 3.8 billion a year agreement expires in 2028. So, I mean, but I mean, some in Netanyahu's circle believe that a new long-term aid deal is possible, but others, like Ron Dermer, disagree with that, and kind of in line with what Charmine's been saying about the MAGA versus MIGA. Ron Dermer is concerned that like the America First politics and mounting pressure inside the Republican Party basically will make continued unconditional aid like uncertain, increasingly uncertain. So this alternative is apparently being explored, and maybe that, maybe Netanyahu. I mean, Netanyahu has talked about this before, by the way. He's talked about how he wants to create this independent model, and I mean, we don't know what the extent of that, what that would look like, but it's kind of, I thought I would bring this up in response to your question because it seems like that maybe Israel, it feels that it may be a possibility, but at the same time, when you look at freaking, how deeply entrenched they are, when you look at like Miriam Adelson with Trump the other day, when you look at Trump
yes,
at the Hanukkah
yes,
thing the other day, I
yes.
mean, talking about the Golan Heights, how he sold the rights to Israel, like
Calling him
I
the
don't know
first
about that.
Jewish president of the U.S., calling him the United States' first Jewish president, and
Yeah,
declaring that
that's
they're going to support him for another term.
so. I really feel like it's like a circle. Like I was telling Karim earlier today that if it's somehow, if they do go for Venezuela, it's to go for Iran. Like exactly what
Yes.
you just said. That's exactly that. Those are my same thoughts there. And it just seems more of a, having your hand in everything. I don't see like them expanding or, shifting to mean that they are leaving West Asia behind or leaving Israel behind in that sense. But I found it interesting that Netanyahu is trying to prepare for this kind of, alternative in case this happens, if such a scenario happened, because he's warned before that they should be prepared for anything like that. It's more like it's not something that's about to happen any second now, but it's more of like a calculated attempt to, hedge against future political shifts, possible shifts.
Very
If you
possible, because before I let you go on, Karim, I want to highlight a couple of days ago, the IMEU policy project put out a survey on Republicans, and they found that 65% of all Republicans and 74% of Republicans under the age of 45 in the U.S. agree that taxpayer-funded weapons to Israel should be reinvested in lowering the cost of healthcare. They also found that 52% of Republicans would prefer a presidential nominee who supports prioritizing lower prices for Americans over funding Israel, and also found that 51% of Republicans under the age of 45 and 44% overall prefer a 2028 presidential candidate who supports reducing taxpayer-funded weapons to Israel. So this is the reality at the moment with the Republicans in the US. So I don't think, it's too far-fetched to think that this could actually happen.
Yeah.
What do you make of all this, Karim?
Regarding first, I just want to show a picture very fast. This picture is 2019. That's Israel's Prime Minister Netanyahu, and this is on the right is the Yemeni Foreign Minister appointed by Saudi Arabia in 2019. So nothing is new here. Remove. removed.
Good point.
So, what's happening? I just the most interesting thing I want to comment about is that the Israelis are trying to find an alternative for the United States. I don't think they will ever find an alternative for the United States. What they are doing is what we mentioned before. They are making Israel a country that you should rely on, whether in energy or in technology or other sectors.
Hmm.
But in
Mhm.
security, there is nothing like the United States because the emerging superpower, everybody knows it. It's China, although they don't want to be a superpower, but eventually they will be a superpower because of their economy and manpower and technology and everything. And the system the leadership or the government of China is very different than the United States. You can't lobby in China. You know what I mean? It will be very difficult with them, for them, or even impossible, to
No,
lobby
yeah.
and to manipulate the foreign policy of China. That's one. And now we can see that Russia can't take the place of the United States and Europe following World War II, and they rely too much on the United States, and they say that we can't go to war without the United States. So if the United States goes down, yani, economically, not no, it will not exist. But the moment the United States can't maintain their offshore hundreds of bases offshore, many things will fall with it, including Israel, including Taiwan, including many states that formed because of the power of the United States. That's my opinion regarding this.
And the
Oh,
United States this year is gonna approve, or I don't know if they already did, the $1 trillion a year budget, right, for military, which in the new strategy the document and according to these moves in the Pentagon is gonna be they want to move those resources to the Western Hemisphere again. But and I feel like in particular to the case of Venezuela, Trump is waiting to announce first phase two of the Gaza ceasefire. The announcement, that's all that matters, and not the actual implementation of anything. The disarmament of Hezbollah, and possibly, the start of a new war, an internal war in Yemen. Before he can say like, okay, like until then, I feel like he's just gonna continue to starve Venezuela. And
Yeah,
then
you-
with the same old strategy that's before, the shock and awe, the in and out, we're only gonna be there for a couple of days. They're gonna try to go into Venezuela, install the Nobel Peace Prize winner, so they can go after Iran. I feel like that this is the plan for year two of the Trump's second term.
yeah, do you want me to put what Trump said regarding Venezuela? Because it's too much also.
Oh, the most delirious comments ever. Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
yeah. I mean, they outed
Not
themselves. They
gonna
stopped
let
using the
anybody.
pretext of drugs and terrorism, really, didn't they?
Pretty
They just made
shamelessly.
it clear that they want the oil.
Their oil, as
Yeah.
Trump says here.
Yeah.
Going through that shouldn't be going through. You remember they took all of our energy rights. They took all of our oil from not that long ago, and we want it back. But they took it. They illegally took it.
Insane,
Jewish
yani,
president.
too much. That's too much.
By the way,
Yeah.
guys, remember also that they're supposed to release the Epstein files on Friday, or a huge trove of the investigative
They
documents
are
related to the
supposed to do
Epstein.
that. And today they sent all Congress members home early. Today they sent them home a day before that.
Yeah, keep in mind they're probably
release.
going to be sanitized. Anything to do with Israel is going to be redacted is the word, or retracted. What's the word? I don't remember.
Redacted, I'm sure. Redacted.
Redacted. I expect Jeffrey Epstein's brother already came out in an interview last month and said that they were sanitizing the files. So I believe
How many
him on that,
more
but
news do we need like that of their involvement?
they're trying to really make some major distractions here, maybe, is what I'm seeing. But for these comments, it was him saying that this was our oil and they illegally took it from us, and then his aide echoed the same remarks. I forgot his name, Stephen something.
Miller?
Trump's aide. He said, yeah, he
The-
said
the
the exact
Nazi?
same thing.
Yeah.
He said the exact same thing. But this blockade now, I mean, what has the international community got to say about this?
What did they say about the genocide in Gaza? Many statements, so many statements that they put out. Wait, you just said something that I wanted to comment on. The sanctions, the blockade, right? Another interesting thing of what we've seen, and again, how this connects to Syria, to Libya, to Iraq, etc. If you go to Western media right now and they talk about the blockade against Venezuela, they take it as a fact that Venezuela is violating some law. That Venezuela is the one committing the violations here. Hell, even sources within the Trump White House who spoke to Politico about the strategy that Trump has to just starve out Venezuela, they say the regime is trafficking oil. They're trafficking oil. Apparently now, in December 18, 2025, to sell your own resources is to traffic and is to break laws. And, a friendly reminder to anyone who may be confused, U.S. sanctions are not international law. A U.S. blockade is not international law. They actually violate international law. So when Venezuela
Nothing the
goes and
US
sells
does, yeah.
oil, they are doing, they're not doing anything wrong. It is the U.S.
Nope.
that is criminally imposing a blockade that the Lancet earlier this year, a Lancet study showed that over 560,000 people die per year just because of U.S. sanctions. U.S. sanctions are a weapon of mass destruction.
Yeah, exactly. And they are, I think, doing the same as they did in Syria. In Syria, the United States used to steal the oil from east of Syria, oil they don't need, and they used to smuggle it or not smuggle it. We can't say it this way because the United States doesn't smuggle
They
and
don't
move
commit
it.
any crimes. Yes,
No,
yes.
no, and move and they used to move it to oil-rich Kurdistan, Iraq, also to a region that don't they doesn't need oil. They export oil, just to let the Syrian government weak, and they want and to make it suffer. And then Donald Trump made the biggest sanctions ever on any country, which was called the Caesar Act, and they made the Syrians starve in 2019. And also the irony or the funny part that when Sharia, his beloved Sharia, came back, he lifted the sanctions in 2024. I know the Congress is now like still voting, but for me, the
They're going
moment
to do it.
the moment Trump said I will lift the sanctions, they are lifted because many businessmen are now going to Syria and nothing is happening to them. So let me continue. In 2024, he lifted the sanctions that he put that led to the killing and suffering and famine in Syria in 2019 to 2024. And when he lifted it, we saw Syrians on the streets clapping and happy that Trump is the savior who saved Syria, although he did committed this to Syria. Why I'm saying this? Because because the irony is too much. I think this is I'm saying this because this is for me part of the one of the big problems on the region. So we still now we don't know who's our enemy and who's our ally, and this applies to Lebanon, Syria, and all over the region. If you're an Arab country in this region and you don't see Israel as an enemy and so you see it as an ally, and if you're in this region and you saw the Arab Syrian army previously as an enemy, there's a problem. Regarding of what happened, and of course, many people will come and say, "Oh, the Syrian army killed civilians." Guys, if you read what the US and the UK did in Afghanistan and Iraq, okay, you will see everybody as like angels. And there's incidents that till now I don't know about them. There's an incident that I just heard about it yesterday, and I talked to Sima about it. The U.S. Army in 2001 they entered a village in north of Afghanistan. I forgot the name of the village, and they captured around 2,000 people, and they didn't know what to do with them. So they hand them for a warlord, and he put them in containers. And after 2 weeks, the United States found a place to put these people that they captured. And when they opened the container after 2 weeks, the 2,100 persons, only 16 people survived, and nobody talks about it. In Iraq, they killed 1 million. They killed 1 million civilian in Iraq because Colin Powell went to the UN and made this in an anti-tube. 1 million died. So
Well,
Don't
yeah,
come and tell
because
us
of the
during wars many people die, and we are the people that suffered. I am from this region. I have relatives that died, and I know war is not good, and many people committed crimes in the war. But when we talk about this, we're talking about the region as a whole, meaning that if maybe this person is not good, but this person serves the region better than a person that comes on the backs of the Israelis and the Americans. Just wanted to clarify this because there's always comments that really don't understand how do
I
we
mean,
think, how do
Karim,
we say.
the 2025 Nobel Peace Prize winner just a few days ago said that asking for an invasion, a U.S. invasion of Venezuela, is an act of love. It's an act of
Yeah,
love, Karim.
yeah, I know. Yeah, now I remembered what I wanted to comment. Trump, I know, I think now he's peace because the head of FIFA gave him the peace prize of FIFA. Did you see it, Esteban?
Yeah, of course. I mean, he's the
Yeah.
peacemaker. He's the
Yeah.
peacemaker.
And he said, "This is the best prize I have ever received." And it was hilarious. Okay.
Exactly.
And when they started to read, man, this also pisses me off. They started to read the names of countries that they some of these countries suffer, and they don't even know how to read the names of the countries. This is
It's,
also the
it's
irony
embarrassing.
of the world
It's,
that we
it,
live in.
it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing. Sima, you wanted to say something.
oh no, I don't remember what it was. It was something to do with Iraq and Colin Powell. I don't remember now.
Um,
It's
go
fine.
ahead. Go ahead.
Oh no, I think I know I just there's the yes.
There's a comment that I saw it twice. People were asking because you're head of Instagram and social media. They were asking if you can make Instagram videos
Yeah, I
downloadable.
saw
So,
it.
no.
I'll look into it and decide whether I'm going to do that or not. Thanks.
Okay, so I think maybe we can wrap it up for this week. Actually, guys, in the comments, let us know. Would you prefer us to just keep it at one video? I saw there was a lot of confusion. Although maybe it's
I
easier for
vote
some
one
people.
video. I vote one video.
Maybe
Let's see
we'll
what they
keep it at
vote.
one stream moving forward. I want to thank you all for joining us this week. Make sure to hit that like button, check out the memberships, subscribe if you haven't, check out our Patreon where you can become a direct supporter of the Cradle. Support independent journalism, please, everyone. And after
Thank
this
you
video is
all.
over, make sure to just leave a little comment underneath because that also helps a lot to get this video out to more viewers. Thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you next week.
Thank
Bye
you.
bye. Bye bye.